Alright, hello everyone. This is a retro programming stream today and we're playing with HyperCard. Hello Tony, good morning to you too. And I hope that the just waking up a minute ago worked well for you. Very much going perfect. Dev stream hype. Okay, cool. Yeah, so, yeah, this is actually a bit annoying with this stream because I was looking for one particular stack to demo you, and I always thought it was part of HyperCard, but for some reason I couldn't find it, and I finally found a copy on one of my backup floppies. The problem is I made a backup of all these floppies onto my hard disk on a Mac years ago, and then just copied that folder over with every new Mac. So it's now on a macOS 10.13 Mac on the hard disk, not compressed in any way, just as a plain HyperCard stack with a resource fork. And yeah, I'm having problems actually getting it into Sheepshaver, because apparently, I guess it must be a bug. If I format a hard disk and copy a bunch of files onto them in the Mac version of Sheepshaver, and then take that hard disk and move it to the Windows version, the Windows version can't read it. So, oops. So no idea why and how that is. Also, whoops, clicked in the wrong window. Scale filtering, disable, point. Let's see if we can make it look a little nicer. Bilinear, bicubic, Lanchos, area. None of these really look good in any way. Yeah, I guess this is the best look you'll get. Yeah, sounds like a bad bug, really. And then I thought, wait, I can just use, what was it called? Was it already called disk copy back then? Whatever, the disk image program, to create disk images from the folders with the files I have. And so I created a bunch of .img files, but those also, if I drag them out onto the this PC, or Unix as it's called, I can on Mac OS and then copy that file to Sheepshaver on Windows. It gives me a -39 file to short error. So I couldn't actually demo you the files and the game I originally wanted to demo, because there is a really cool game called Train Set, which is one of the HyperCard example stacks as far as I know, but which I couldn't even find online to just download it and drag it in on Windows. So who knows what happened to that stack, and I'm now wondering where I got that stack from every time. If I had it on a different floppy disk and just forgot, and copied it onto my HyperCard disks or something. I mean, they weren't really write protected, so and I didn't have that many disks, so it's totally possible that I just took a file that I needed with every installation and put it on those disks as well. But anyway, I guess we'll have to live with it for now, until I find a way to either Either I'll set it up so I can stream from my Mac, or maybe I'll find out what the bug is and find a workaround. So we shall see. Alright, so this is HyperCard. I've demoed a couple of times what this basically does. So you have a main window, you can drag elements in it. You have a background and a foreground. The background is kind of a master slide that can be shared by several pages. The pages are called cards, hence the name HyperCard. Darjeeling tea. Alright, this is a pretty good foundation for creating a game. Now the thing is, you don't really have classes. You can't just create arbitrary objects. So you kind of have to arrange yourself with this hierarchy and work within this hierarchy to actually get your stack, to actually get some reusable code out. Alright, so let's create a HyperCard stack, and let's see, what do we call it? Let's call it point and clicker, because the only game really worth making is a point and click adventure game, of course. 640 by 400. I think we can actually go 640 by 480. Yeah, okay. So this was a big 12-inch screen at the time, so seems like a good choice. So let's set up our environment. So we have a tools window. We probably want a patterns window. Let's see, can we, yeah, no, we can't. Okay, so first thing, so this is how line size, brush shape, etc. usually work, but there's actually a cooler way, and that is by opening a stack that comes with HyperCard. Where is it? Power tools. Here. And now we just say start using this stack. Usually, so HyperCard, when you start it up, always, even if you open another document, opens its home stack. And the script of the home stack is available to every stack. And so what you usually do is you add to the startup handler, so command that you define inside the stack, this line, start using stack power tools. And that way you get all the extensions that it has. So you see it has a bunch of nice little tools. It has this supergrouper palette, for instance, which is a little window with which you can select multiple objects and then, for example, move them together, which was a feature HyperCard actually doesn't have in its editor. It only has a single selection. What's this? Oh yeah, this is a palette with which you can arrange windows. And here they have the paint palettes. And that means they create little floating windows like this for your tool palettes. And by using start using, we get the script of this stack as if it was our home stack in addition to the home stack. Okay, so let's go to our recent cards, find our stack, and if I now switch to a paint tool and say line size, brush shape, polygon sides. Then, as you see, we get little palette windows to set these up. Does HyperCard allow creating buttons dynamically with script, or was it so that all of them need to be drawn manually on the stack? No, you can. The thing is, HyperCard, the way HyperCard works is you can basically remote control the entire application. So if I want to create buttons under script control, I'll use a button just to create just to have something to put the script in. So what I can do is I can trigger menu commands with a do menu command, like new do menu new button, and then I can say so they set name of last card button to I'm new here, set script of last card button to on mouse up. New line, play boing. New line. Let's make this a little wider. Oops, there's an extra N in there. And mouse up. Set auto highlight of last card button to true. Oh, maybe, let's say I'm new here and the short time. Alright. Save this. And now if we click this button. Oh, right. Interesting spelling here. Let's delete that button. Oh, and since the script, so the new button menu command automatically sets the tool in the tool palette to the button tool. Hello? Why can't I make a new line? Huh. What happened? Did I break something? Let's see. I guess we can copy and paste. Choose. Yeah, okay. It thinks the Windows key is still down. That's why it didn't work. Choose Browse tool. Okay. And now if I push this button, creates a new button. I'm new here 720. Oh, now we probably have two. Yeah. And now we'd have to wait a minute to see the actual. As you see, my time settings are apparently German, so it says Uhr, o'clock, basically. Anyway. Oh, you probably can't hear this now because I don't have desktop audio capture on right now. Um, but anyway, you can just trust me that it just played a boing sound. Yeah. So you could theoretically do a grid one, like one in chess, Othello, a pipe dream during hypertalk with buttons. Yeah, I mean, for one, if it was like in chess, 64 by 64 buttons, if you had to, you could do them by hand. But yeah, you can script that. You can even use, this will be horrendously slow in this emulator, but you can say lock screen, which means don't do any updates of the screen until we unlock screen. That's useful because, otherwise you see the new button pop up, then see the button, change change its title and things like that. Set width of last card button. Oops. To, let's say 200 might be good. But you can say unlock screen with dissolve, for instance. And now if we click this, sadly this emulator does the effects way too slow, but you see it does this fade in effect of that new button. In real stack, this would have been over fairly, like on real hardware, this would have been over fairly quickly. For some reason, this emulator takes forever when you do these effects. But anyway, yes, so you can create buttons under script control, and there are many people who do this, like especially if you're a programmer who is used, let's delete those two again, we don't really need this. Your instinct is to put your entire game on this one card and maybe have a second card containing text fields that describe each level or something. But no, this is not how HyperCard works, HyperCard has backgrounds and cards. So what you would really do is you would say, okay, I'll go into my background. You see it by these dashed lines in the menu bar. And then you would say, okay, first I want my... Do we even want point and click adventure? Do we want verbs? Well, let's do it for now. Let's make it really traditional. Like if I was more serious about this game... Oh, wait, undo. We want it filled. Alright. Little trick. There is no setting for 0 line size. However, if you hold down the Alt key, the Option key, while you create a rectangle, while you draw a rectangle with a fill, then it will use the same pattern for the outline. So that's how I get rid of that last line here. So now I have a gray pattern here as a background. And now, let's see, we want a scrolling list. Now the thing is, we want a inventory list. So that should be a list of icons. HyperCard doesn't really do scrolling list of icons. So as is usual with HyperCard, we fake it. So I've brought up the icon editor. I should have done the menu item, I guess. Edit icon. And it automatically creates a first icon for us to edit. I hold down the command key, that way I get a selection tool. And now I think it's B, no, F, F. If I type F, it will actually frame the selection. So now I have a quarter size, which should be 16 by 16 pixels. Let's center this. And let's make this, whoops. It's a little more awkward than on modern systems, I guess. Okay. Now we have a triangle. Let's chop off one more pixel. We need a 2-pixel border here for this to halfway look okay. Alright, so we have an up arrow. And now we type Command D. There's a lot of hidden and not so hidden shortcuts. So, for example, in the icon editor, it has its completely own set of menus. Oh, it actually has... I don't remember it having this special menu. I always learned the shortcuts. So here, these are the things. They're just keyboard shortcuts for these as well. So frame was what I used to get the box. And you can flip. And you can actually shadow. Interesting. I mean, we could probably take advantage of it. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it does it right. It actually takes the outline box and gives it a shadow. That's nice. Okay, now we can... Excuse me. We can duplicate this icon. Yes. Up arrow HL for highlighted. And now again, I command drag to select. And now I can say... I can invert. So now I have a clicked look for this button. Now we go back, duplicate the up arrow, select this, and say icon special flip vertical. Yes, okay. So that's, whoops, sorry, is the down arrow. And then we duplicate it and say down arrow HL. Whoops, 1 pixel too much. I can also hold the shift key, by the way, to get a straight line. So usually pixels would go like this. But if I hold the shift key, then I get a straight line, the usual. Alright, now what else do we need? We need a Scrollbot track that we can do with a rectangular button, and we need a Scrollbot thumb. So... Oh, and by the way, you can do here, icon, first, previous, next, last, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the same shortcuts you use to navigate between cards, so very familiar. So let's call this one thumb. And delete these edges. And make it look grippy. Whoops. Let's see. it's a bit hard to properly align these lines. They're always, because this is, you know, this is 16 pixels. So I'm thinking maybe we should just go with the 15. So HyperCard usually used, I think 16 pixels. And I think macOS itself actually looked 15. Whoops. Oops. Like this. So now we can get rid of these pixels and actually get a pointier triangle. I'm just gonna manually edit each icon, I guess. Whoops. Forgot to edit these pixels. Alright. Should we move this up? I think that looks better. Do the same here. I can also hold Alt to get a copy. That's how I prevent the black gap from happening here by just doubling that pixel. Alright. Spending a little too much time on the art here. But we'll be done in a second. Alright, and this goes up by 1 pixel as well. Come on. Alright. And now let's create the buttons. You can command drag to create a transparent button easily. You could also script that, by the way. Dang, HyperCard 1X doesn't seem to have a lock command. No, lock screen should exist in HyperCard. I think you might not have unlock screen with dissolve, but lock screen and unlock screen should be a thing. Okay, so up arrow. Script on mouse down, set icon of me to up arrow HL, wait until, oh, let's do proper tracking, repeat until the mouse is up, and repeat and mouse down. If the mouse lock is within the rect of me, then else, and if set icon of me to up arrow HL, set icon of me to up arrow, set icon of me to up arrow. So reset it after mouse tracking. And now if the mouse lock is within the rect of me, and if put scrolling up. For now, we don't implement anything else. Put not scrolling up. Alright, and now, yeah, we have a button that looks like it's highlighting. So that's one way to do custom buttons. Now we copy and paste this button. And, oh, wait, script. And now we just change all the up arrow. It's a little funny how, non-standard menus were back then. Like, you have a complete script menu and they put the find menu item in there. Although in everywhere else, it's in the edit menu. So, replace up arrow with down arrow. Replace all. All right. Okay, now we have two clickable buttons. Now, for this look, we could have probably just gone with a shadowed button. Like this. Fun trick. Set highlight of me to true. And disable the button. So the thing is, in this look, button borders don't look disabled. So, objects send farther, yes. Come on. It's that one pixel that I just can't seem to hit. Well, if I click this, why doesn't the button highlight? Oh, because it's a background button. No, it says shared highlight. And again, it's forgotten that the Windows key is not being held. Okay, maybe this button type is different. Okay. I wanted to show you a trick. Maybe it only works with opaque buttons. Huh. Weird. So usually you can create a button and its highlight will activate the entire button in black. Like this. Oh, I think I know why it didn't work. The button was disabled, so the mouse up never arrived. Okay, and now I can click here. I disable it. Let's name this button the track. So now I have a gray fill here. It's still that. Oh, I think my buttons are 1 pixel wider than their image. Yeah. Now it looks halfway right. And now copy paste. We create our thumb. Icon thumb. Does that look good? Yeah. So now we've built ourselves a scroll bar thumb. And now we can say track this one as well. So, put the top, that is a coordinate, of background button track into min, pause, min y. Put the bottom of background button track into max y. Put item 2, so that's the y coordinate. A coordinate is always a 1, 2. Ah, you did some Googling. That lock screen was added in HyperCard 1.2. You got 101. Oh, okay. Yeah, I started with 1.2, so that makes sense that I never noticed that it might not have existed. Okay. Put item 2 of the mouse lock into... Wait. Put item 2 of the mouse lock minus item 2 of... So lock is short for location, by the way. Seems that HyperCard 2.2 is stable enough in Maze that you were able to write that same button script in it. Yay! How long should the dissolve effect take? Good question. It's fairly quick. It's really... I think 4 seconds... I'd have to measure it on a real machine, but 4 seconds seems to be a little slow. Like, you have different speeds. You have... you can say dissolve slow, dissolve very slow, just dissolve, which I think is dissolve normal, and you can say fast and very fast. So I would say maybe 2 seconds, but I'd really have to test it on actual hardware because I'm just going from memory here. But I mean, 4 seconds might be within the reason. It's just a regular but visible fade in. The lock of me. So lock is short for location. Minus item 2 of the lock of me into y diff. Okay, so now we have the position where our button, our cursor, our mouse pointer is inside the button. And now we can say set, put item 2 of the mouse lock plus y diff into new top. If new top less than min y, then, and if put min y into new top. So that means we can only drag here to the top of the track. Else put, no wait, this just needs to be copied. If new top plus the height of me bigger than max y, then put max y minus the height of me into new top. And now that we have the position, set the top of me to new top. So this should give us mouse tracking now for that Scrollbot thumb. Okay, it almost works. The y diff, I think, should be minus y diff. No? And this goes down 1 pixel too far. Oh, it's the lock of me. I have to... of the top of me, of course. And I think it's still plus, like I originally planned. No. Item 2. Okay, again. Item 2 of the mouse lock, which is some position, minus item 2 of the top of me. That should be correct. And should be a positive number. And then put item 2 of the mouse lock. Minus y diff. Okay, something there is wrong. Okay, let's use our debugger. Show our treasured variable watcher. Min y 411, max y 459. Put item 2 of the mouse lock minus item 2 of the top of me into ydiff. Ydiff 101. The button is 15 pixels high. Oh, I think I remember now. I think the mouse lock. Wait, let's objects card info on the heck. Okay, so this new version of Sheep Shaver that they released at the start of this year seems to have some interesting issues where it sometimes doesn't notice that the Windows or prevents Windows from noticing that the Windows key has gone back up. Put the mouse lock. Okay. So the mouse lock here is 623 by 419 or something like that. Put, wait, and the top of background button thumb. I hope I named it that. No, I didn't. What are you named? Nothing. Okay, that's 411. So 419 is item 2 of the mouse lock. Minus. Oh, there is no item 2. I just want the top of me. That's why it didn't work. Okay. Now. Yeah, okay, now it works perfectly. Except, I think it's 1 pixel too tall, which makes sense because the shadowed button has a shadow of 1 pixel. So, put the bottom of background button track -1 into maxy, -1 to account for shadow. Oops. We did some testing. If you use very fast, it appears in less than a second, but fast, it takes 4 seconds. You also found a bug in the pop-up menu control. Looks like the label font is not restored properly by the system cdef. Whoops. I wonder, like, how that worked, whether it, you know, whether it maybe created a separate graphics port for controls, and that's why it couldn't screw up things. Okay, now we have a nice Scrollbot thumb. And now, of course, we want icons for our inventory items. So let's just do 2 for now. Or maybe 1, 1. Let's pick just random icons. Okay. Let's see if that will fit. Okay. Inventory 1, 2. So let's just name them on a grid. Then it will be easier to script them. 2, 1. And 2, 2. 2, 2. Okay. And I mean, I could just draw stuff here, but I'm not going to bother for now. So now we need to know what our inventory is. So for this, let's just, whoops. I just realized, yeah, I create those buttons on the card. Let's cut and paste. XBVB. Cut, background, paste, background. Cut, background, paste. Okay. Now we have these icons. Now we create a list. And let's see what these icons are named. So this icon is named point and click. Oh no. Okay, that's just a system icon, I guess. Let's see. Visual effect. Audio help. Let's just use random names. Inventory. Right, we need to set it to shared text, so it has the same text on all cards. And now we say visual effect. What was the other one? I don't even remember the names anymore. Let's see. We can use QuickTime. We can use die6. What other icons do we find? Color tools and mail merge. Mail merge. I'll just pick a bunch of icons so we have something to work with. HC tour and practice stack. Whoops. That actually let's go for about 8 so we can scroll all of them out of view. So what's the last icon we want to use? Let's use this. It's just called home. Okay, nice. Alright, so now we have a field inventory with icon names. And now scroll inventory plus 2. No, that's... which button is that? Up arrow. So it's -2. So I say scroll up by 2 icons, so I don't have to think much about the script. And I'll make it use a single click for now, that's fine. And here as well, scroll inventory down by 2. And now we put that in the background script on scroll inventory num icons, scroll inventory, and we need to remember what we are scrolled to right now. For now, let's just create another field. Inventory scroll. Share text. And let's say put 1 in there. So we always have the first icon's line number in there. So now we say add num icons to background field inventory scroll. If inventory if background field inventory scroll less than 1, then put 1 into background field inventory scroll. If background field inventory scroll bigger than number of lines of background field inventory -4. No, I have to do -3 because we're 1-based indexes. So that means if we have 4 icons, the inventory scroll must always be 1. So I must do -3. Then put into background field inventory scroll. Okay, so this should just 3, 5. Yeah, and we have 8 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So 5, 6, 7, 8 is the last page we can show. Yeah, so that's correct. Go back into the background info script. And now I need to whack it over the head that the keys aren't down again. Okay. Repeat with x equals background field inventory to background field inventory scroll +4. and repeat set. You know what? That should just be inventory 1, inventory 2. That just makes the script easier for me. 3, 4. Since we're only scrolling in lines, this should be fine then. Set icon of background button, inventory, and X to line X of background field inventory. Oops. Oh. Probably need to do this. Why does it go? Oh. Okay, yeah. I have to subtract put background field inventory scroll into the scroll. X equals 1 to 4. Set icon of background button inventory X to line X plus the scroll. No, wait, it's not 1 to 4. It's 0 to 3. Inventory X plus 1. Okay, now it should work. Alright, so we have... Yeah, whoops. That visual effect. Which icon is this? It's lock. Something. Not quite right, but then it's dice color tools. That's right. So dice color tools, mail merge, and HC tour. And then practice stack and home. So it's all except the first icon, that's right. Okay, that's interesting. I keep launching random applications because I push buttons and it thinks that I'm pressing the Windows key. Huh. So the emulator's handling of intercepting the Windows key isn't really that good yet. Put this into icon name. Icon name. Oh, I just closed the variable watcher when I'm needing it again. So the scroll is 1. That's fine. X is 0. Icon name visual effect. Set icon of background button inventory 1 to visual effect. Okay, there must be some spot, maybe in Power Tools or so, where someone edited an icon. I can actually verify this, I guess. Go stack Power Tools in new window. Call up the icon editor. This is called lock. Maybe it just has the same ID number. Let's just renumber it. See if that fixes it. Yeah, okay. So it was just a collision in ID numbers, and since I did start using, I got the icons as well. So now our scrolling works. Okay. So now I can scroll through inventory items. Of course, we're not updating the Scrollbot thumb yet. So now we gotta say, let's see. First, this is our max scroll. Put into max scroll. Min scroll is 1. Alright, and now we say put the scroll divided by max scroll into fraction scroll, and then put the height of background button track. I just realized I could have done this a little easier, I think. I could have just used a text field with a scroll bar, basically, I could have used this text field and its scroll bar. Just make it so small that you only see the scroll bar, and then just depending on what it's scrolled to, display the icons. But then, of course, you know, I wouldn't have the 4-line visibility guaranteed. So it would have looked a little weird with the icons shifting around. But I guess I could do something like number of visible lines or so. I mean, even right now this will not quite work, because if I don't have an even number of items, then they shift at the end. Put the height of background button track -1. Times fraction scroll. I think it's called trunk. Set top of background button thumb to top of background button track plus this. Okay, so this is basically not super special, I guess. Oh, right. I overestimate the track height because of course the track height of background button track -1 minus height of background button thumb, because of course the thumb takes space as well, so I only have this area to scroll within. Makes sense. Let's see. Yeah. Huh, it doesn't quite go to the top. What is that? Oh, it's probably an off by 1. Because the scroll is 1 based. So we never get to 0. Okay. That is... Yeah, now it's at 0. But now it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Oh, I think it's the wrong way around what I fixed. Or maybe I just have to make max scroll -1, 2. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So we have a nice little scroll bar here with which we can scroll our inventory icons. And so that's one way you could do your inventory in your stack. And these text fields you could really just hide. So yeah, and now let's make buttons for the verbs. Let's just say look at, whoops, I just locked my screen. Luckily you couldn't see that. Look at ... Oh, I think it hasn't noticed. Yeah, again. Okay. So script select verb look at. Now let's make a new button. Oh wait. Give it a family so we automatically show the right one selected. Okay, look at, and what else do we do? Talk to. Objects, background info, script on select verb, what verb, and select verb. Oh, and these buttons, of course, should be in the background. All right. Huh? Family 1, auto highlight, shared highlight. Oh, I think I didn't copy that to the background. Somehow. No. What's going on? So really, if you set a family... Oh, this one somehow didn't have a family. Okay. Yeah. Then they auto switch so that we get the proper highlighting for which verb is selected. Now let's see. Background info. So you could use global variables here, but actually for consistency, I think I'm just going to use background fields for everything. So current verb. That way, when we quit and restart, it will remember the right verb to match whatever verb is selected here, you know, so it's all the state is saved in the same space. Okay, objects, background info, script. Put what verb into background field current verb. That is a background field, right? No, it got copied as a card field again. Share text. Yeah, okay. Talk to or look at. So now we select the right verb. And now imagine we had an object on the card. Like, I don't know, let's say we have a person that we can look at or talk to. Then we say on mouse up, do verb, and we pass it the short ID of me, just so we have a self-reference. And then we say on look at. For now, let's just use the message box. Put you look at the person holding the background. And on talk to, put the person holding the background groans under the strain. Something like that. I wanted to capitalize this. Alright, and now background info script on do verb, button ID, and do verb. Put background field current verb into the message. Send the message to card button ID, button ID. Alright. You look at the person holding the background, that works. Now we select talk to. The person holding the background groans under the strain. So basically what we've just done is let the user select what action to do in our point-and-click adventure game. And then when you click on something, it will actually react to it in some way. Right now it just shows some message in the message box, which of course wouldn't be that nice. You would want, you know, to show a speech balloon or something like that over that character. But anyway, what this means is we have everything we need for this system in the background. And on the card layer of each new card, we can now just use HyperCard to place buttons to be our objects. So that's nice. Because that means we can just use the drawing tools, for example, to, you know, draw a scenery. And you know, just I don't really know what I want to draw here. But anyway, like I can have a road going here. Whoa, this emulator. The mouse tracking in this emulator is really struggling. Alright. You know, like I could just use these paint tools or, you know, use a different paint app and paste into it. I don't know. Like I can have a river going through here or whatever I want to. And can have my buttons on top of it. Like, I don't know, if you're swimming in the river or something. And then, you know, can just interact with them. So you don't need to build like your own level designer or anything like that. You just use HyperCard for it. And then, you know, if you want a new level or something with the river continuing, you can just go copy card. You don't even have to copy like, oh, no, it says paste text. Huh. I said copy card. Okay, so the clipboard isn't quite fixed yet. Still only works for text, apparently. Well, anyway, but I can roughly remember at what height it was, I just make a new card and then can say the river continues here. Oops. Like this maybe. Use the fill bucket. Oh. How do I... Right, if I don't want it to leak, let's just draw a line here at the bottom. Okay. You know, something like this. I can just have the river go down there. And you know, they share whatever verb you selected. They share the inventory. And when I switch between the cards, it looks reasonably reasonably connected. And then I can have a different buttons here. So that was the nice thing about HyperCard. You could get started really quickly. And of course, like I can hide background button current verb. Did I call it current verb? Hide background button. Oh, not button, field. Hide background field. Inventory. Inventory scroll. And now you don't even see where this stuff goes. And of course, I can do something like, I can put a button over there and say, visual effect push left, go next card, or even go to, like I could name these cards and don't just go to the left card. And now when you click here in the edge, it will actually seem to transition. And of course we can do the same for the way back. Push right, go previous card. And so I can navigate through a huge map made up of individual pages. Yeah. And that's kind of the genius in HyperCard. If you, it builds, it gives you a kit for doing, for doing interesting things in a game. Or for building interesting things. And the same mechanism with this background that I'm using here can actually be used to let you build a database or something. But it doesn't have to be a boring database. I'm actually glad the push effect seems to run fairly quickly here. That would probably be a good indicator of how fast it should be. That's, what is that, 1.5 seconds? I guess we can probably measure it. Put the ticks into start time, put the ticks minus start time. Now when I click here, that's 15 ticks that it measured. 15 ticks. 60 ticks. So that's a quarter of a second is the normal speed of this scroll effect. Not sure, that might be too fast for the dissolve effect, I don't know. Because you have to be able to do the push effect in fast and very fast as well, you know? I don't know. I guess we'd really need real hardware and would just have to see how fast it runs. Alright, what else did I want to do? We would like to do animations, right? So how could we do this? Well, one way to do it is, let's pick our juggler again as the animation that works. So let's see, that's practice stack. Juggler 4, 3, 2. Okay, and so text fields can contain text. Buttons can contain text as well, you just don't see it anywhere. So that's useful because you can write stuff in. So you can say practice stack. Let's use commas. Juggler 2, juggler 3, juggler 4. So we've now decided that the first line of every button is its animation. And now we can say background info script. And so the only way to get periodic processing is this idle handler, which is one of the biggest limitations of HyperCard for making games, I guess. And so now we say repeat with x equals 1 to number of card buttons. And now say put line 1 of card button X into the icons. Okay, so we have a slight problem here because you can use an icon's name as to set its icon, but if you ask a button to set a button's icon, but if you ask a button for its icon, it always gives you its ID number, its unique identifier. And that's a bit annoying here, because that means we do not know what icon the button has right now. So what we'll do is we'll just abuse the first item as... No, wait. Let's make it easier and let's just use the second line. Juggler 4. Okay. Into the icons, put line 2 of card button X into current icon. Alright. If the icons is not empty, so just in case we have a button we created for something else on the card, like, you know, for example, this one, that we don't do nonsensical stuff. Wait, if the icons is empty or current icon is empty, then next repeat, so that just skip everything and try the next button. Otherwise, now we need to find the right icon. Okay, so repeat with y equals 1 to number of items of the icons, and repeat actually, let's not use the name. Let's use the frame number 1, 2, 3, 4. So the item number. Then we don't need to search. Okay, if number of items of the icons is less than equal to current icon, then put 1 into current icon, else add 1 to current icon, set icon of card button X to item current icon of the icons. Okay, so what we're doing now is every time idle comes by, we use we switch to the next icon. And if we are at the end, then we switch back to the first icon. So we rotate through. And that we do for each button. And now we have to remember which icon we picked. Put current icon into line 2 of card button X. That should actually be all we need. Yes, and you see, we have a lightning fast juggler. And now, of course, we can slow this down a little or make multiple of these and see how much that slows things down. Huh. What happened? Oh, it didn't copy the contents. Interesting. I would have expected it to copy the contents, but maybe you need to hold down Shift or something to do that. I don't remember. That's a little weird. You're lurking, by the way, listening carefully but doing remote work at the same time. Yeah, don't worry. I'm used to people lurking. I only have 15 minutes to go anyway. But anyway, you see here, we have now the foundations for a game. We have animations that we can easily set up by just editing the contents of a button. We have hotspots that we can click, we can talk to one of these or look at one of these, you can click at certain other spots and, for example, go to a new card. And of course, since you are creating these buttons here, you can say, okay, I know, like you could do an animation and move this button over to where you're clicking. And then only when it arrives here, start the transition. And then on the new card, so what you could do instead of the visual effect is you could do lock screen, go to the new card, place whatever player button exists there in, the equivalence coordinate. So to make sure it looks like your character just walked to the next screen. And then just say unlock screen with push left or push right, one of those effects. So these animations are crazy fast. So since we have a few minutes left, how do we slow this down? We could set the animation speed for each button, but I think in our case it will be enough to just do it for all the buttons at the same time. So last animation time, if last animation time is empty, that can happen at startup, where this variable doesn't exist yet. Put the ticks. Let's see, how many times per second do we want this to work? I guess 10 ticks, that would be 6 times per second into G last animation time. Now, if the ticks minus G last animation time is bigger, same 10, then, and if, is less than 10, then just pass. No, let's do it bigger, same 10. And then say, and if here. Okay, and now put the ticks into G last animation time to remember that we actually animated. And so we have now 10 ticks, so 10/60ths of a second between the frames. And you can see that's already a lot slower. But the nice thing is, since we don't actually do anything for anything else, we can still easily interact with everything. And that would otherwise be a problem. Like if we said, we do 3 frames or something, or we wait after a frame, then of course we're blocking. And let's see, maybe 10, let's go for 6. That's 10 times per second, because 10 is just 6 times per second. That actually looks much nicer. Maybe we can even double the speed. That looks nice. So now we're about 12 frames per second. So 6 would be 10. No, we're at 20. Huh, that's actually nice. That's almost 24. So that's a pretty fluid animation rate. But yeah, that's the nice thing. We can now use this simple thing to build a foundation for a game. Maybe let's add a player character. So let's just take a random button and name it player. You know, we're making up conventions here as we want, and that's also nice. Just if you need something, you create it. So we create a button named player, and now we say in the background info, on mouse up and mouse up. If the target is me, is not me. So the thing I'm checking this is if a button doesn't have a mouse up handler and you click on it, the message gets forwarded to the card and the background. In this case, I really want to know, was only the card clicked? And since I think actually I have a mouse up handler here, so I don't necessarily need this. Oh great. It has again not noticed that I if the target is not me, doesn't work. If the name of the target well, let's say if the okay, I guess we don't need it anyway because we have a mouse up handler on each button. If we had a button with just a mouse down handler, oh, like a scroll bar, I guess, there it's a problem. But okay, let's ignore that for now. So now, what we want to do is make the player walk over to where we click. So global G player destination, G player walk end time. So I want to have the player walk at idle time. So that's why I'm doing it more complicated. Otherwise, I could just say repeat and move the player over there. So not global. So okay, G put the mouse lock into G player destination. Put the ticks. I guess we should make it dependent on the distance or something, but it's easier now to just say take 1 second wherever you're walking. Into G player walk end time. So we should probably do something like calculate the distance and then, you know, the distance the player walks. And then multiply that by a tick count for like 10 pixels are 1 tick or something like that. Alright. Now, for one thing, we should pass idle here just in case someone else needs it. And then here we should calculate the new position. Is the end time? I guess we need the start time as well. G player walk start time. Put the ticks into G player walk start time. Put whoops. Okay. If G player destination is not empty, then end if. Okay, and now we need a player source as well. So, you know, I'm collecting, like, I need a start position, an end position, and a start time and an end time, so I can calculate where on the line between those points I should be right now. Alright. Put the lock of the card button player into player source. Alright, and now we do put let's see, the ticks minus G player start time into progressed time, put gplayer oh, it's not start time, it's walk start time, player walk end time minus player walk start time into total time. If g player if progress time bigger total time, then and if put total time into progress time. So just make sure that we don't run off the end. And now put progress time divided by total time into fraction time, or wait, fraction progress. And now we can say, now we can calculate the position based on that fraction. So let's see, item 1 put item 1 of g player destination minus item 1 of g player source. So that's the distance we have to travel horizontally into horse distance. And now item 2 into vert distance. So that's the total distance. And now we multiply this by fraction progress. And of course, since coordinates here are integers, yeah, since fractions are integers, we convert it to integers. And now we say set lock of card button player to item 1 of g player source plus hearts distance comma item 2 of player source plus vert distance. And now at the end, if progressed time should never be bigger, but who knows? Might as well be paranoid here. total time, then put empty into G player destination. So this way we stop the animation when we're done. So another question is, will this work? I think there's a bracket missing. Yeah. Set lock of card button player to this entire expression. And maybe we need to bracket these as well. Okay, it's not erroring, and now I click somewhere. Okay, it doesn't actually move right now. And I think I forgot a destination somewhere. So like, I did a put. Total time into progress time. Total time, progress time divided by total time into fraction progress. Item 1 of player destination. Put the lock of card mountain player into player source. Put the mouse lock into player destination. The ticks into walk start time plus. Here is it into missing. And for some reason, it just let me do that. That's fascinating. Didn't think that would compile. Ah. So, that's actually nice. So now we have a player that can walk wherever we click. I mean, there's no pathfinding and nothing right now, no obstacles. But anyway, yeah, so that's how you could make a game. You have animations, both individual frame animation, and of course, if you want to do cutscenes or something, you could just create a new background and say, okay, now I'm going to draw, I don't know, a face. You know, something like that. And, you know, a body to go with it, you know, have your cutscene there without now I deleted it. Well, you know, like I could just create an empty card, draw something on that, even flip through several cards to kind of do larger animations, you know. Without having to have any of these mechanisms in place. Or I could do a cutscenes background with this animation behavior, but none of the player walking or whatever. But that's the nice thing that you can do in that new background. You can have even you can even do, come on, mouse. You could even have like cinematic black bars. I know they don't match. With copy and paste, this would be so much easier. But I guess the emulator has a bug with the clipboard. Anyway, and so you could have these black bars, and you could have cutscenes, and you could just have stuff happen and like big transitions and things like that. And then you could go to another card that is again just a regular, a regular page like this, a regular game moment. And that's kind of the nice thing. I don't know any like software development platform or something that is built like this, like that just lets you start drawing somewhere and have shared elements and non-shared elements and things like that. I mean, it would be nice if animation was already built in, like, just use a GIF as an icon or something. If you had a scrollbar control or even an icon list control or whatever, for these purposes, if all of that stuff was a little easier. But, I don't think for 2 hours from nothing, this isn't too bad. I mean, it's nothing I would ship. Anyway, and this is where we'll leave off, I guess. Tomorrow will be a C++ programming stream, so non-retro. What we will be doing tomorrow is finish our tutorial on how to create your own programming language. It's I think like part 8 in the series, so not the best starting point for those who didn't watch the previous chapters on YouTube. But what we'll be doing is we will be combining the parser and the bytecode interpreter from previous tutorials. We've started combining them. We're already generating and running code. But yeah, next time we'll do we'll make it handle parameters and loops, and that will happen tomorrow at the same time, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Hopefully see some of you folks there. And then remember, on Sunday we will be continuing the point-and-click adventure, or rather the first-person puzzle adventure, named Quern. We will be puzzling our heads out. And then, if all goes well, next week we will be starting Horizon the Forbidden West. And this is the missing mouse up handler here that I just got the error message for. Okay, thank you for being there. I know the old HyperCard didn't, but do you add features such as GIF support or icon scaling to my HyperCard clone? I'm planning to have stuff like that, yeah. Like at least a choice should the icon be clipped or scaled. Maybe even specify a scale. Because like right now, here on this page, if our character walks to the front or to the back, it's always the same size. If you remember in Monkey Island or something, they were smaller in the back and larger in the front. So that would, of course, be a neat feature to have, and HyperCard doesn't do that. You'd have to make your own icons at different sizes or something, maybe. So yeah, but for my HyperCard clone that I'm working on in my copious spare time, what copious spare time? This, yeah, stuff like that are things I want to add, yeah. I'm not sure if it will be GIF support or maybe just support for a series of icons as an animation or something. I see this game developing to a Uli VM in the future, like Scum VM. No. This game is... It's at least a one-off example to just show you how quickly you can get to something, even without, you know, me really creating any new fancy graphics. But I mean, you know, like my HyperCard clone will at least end up being a VM for HyperCard stacks in the end, in another decade or so, when I'm finished. All right. Thank you for being here. Have a good rest of your Thursday, and hopefully see you tomorrow, at the weekend, or next week for Horizon. Bye bye.